What's going on, you guys? Slim here with a new video today, and today, you guys, we're here to talk about why branded DESPIA won YCS Guadalajara. You guys already know, popular segment here on the channel. You guys already know, DESPIA is literally the deck to beat, and this deck was piloted by the absolute GOAT, one of my personal favorite players in the game, Andres Torres. Shout out to you, bro. He now has 5 rings, you guys. That's right. He has won 5 championships. It's absolutely crazy. He is tied, I believe, for the most wins out of any player ever, and it's just amazing to see. He is such a dedicated, such a consistent player that basically does well at every event he goes to. He's top every YCS. He literally got top 8 what was it, the week before at Bogota, playing DESPIA, basically the same deck, and he also, just won it all here with this deck. So shout out to you, Andres. Congratulations, man. Another win, another ring, and I mean, there's no stopping him. He's just so consistent. It's amazing. But before we get into it, you guys already know, subscribe. In the description, though, he did actually start his own channel. I definitely want you guys to go over there and see the live deck profile. It is in Spanish, but those of you that speak Spanish should be able to get the idea of why he made the card selections that he did, and I'll do my best to talk about why this deck won, card choices, etc, etc. But definitely go check it out and give him a sub because he more than deserves it. But anyways, you guys, let's get into it. The deck that won YCS Guadalajara this past weekend. So he did play 1 copy of Ad Libitum. That's just standard. He is playing 2 copies of All Beyond the Shrouded Dragon. So this card's really cool. I think the main reason why players do like this card, its ability to actually just put itself to the bottom of the deck and draw another card, just helps you just cycle through your deck and just just keep going, keep getting more card advantage. It has plenty of other reasons to play it, but it was interesting that he played 2. I remember only seeing some players only playing 1, but he did opt for 2. He is playing 45 cards, so he is playing more cards than usual, but he also just wants to avoid seeing any of the bricks in the deck, because there are a couple bricks in the deck. But of course, he is playing triple copies of Aliber. It's just your starters, pretty standard. I know if you were playing the Brave cards, most of them only play 2 copies, but since he's not playing the Brave cards at all, just want to max out on starters. He is also playing with just 1 copy of the Comedy. This was a card that players kind of talked about and weren't really sure on. I know in past lists I've seen some players weren't playing this card, but this card is pretty good. It says when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a face-up DESPIA card you control, quick effect, you can discard this card and negate the activation. And then if this card is in your graveyard as a quick effect, you contribute 1 fusion monster, special summon this card. So basically you can just recycle it back. So that's pretty crazy. Just gives you a little negate too, so it's not bad. 3 copies of Tragedy. This was something that I think is really different from a lot of lists. I haven't seen too many lists that actually max out on Tragedy. I know I've seen some that play maybe 1, maybe I've seen 2, but he is maxing out on 3. So really cool. He's been playing this deck for a while. He played it before the structure deck and made top 8 with it at YCS. What was it? The first YCS back where Prank Kids won. It was pretty crazy, and yeah, he's been on this card, so he's playing 3 copies of that. He is playing 1 copy of Dermaturge. It being a negate is pretty important as well. It's also huge, 3,000 attack, so it is kind of a problem for the opponent to get past. But this was the main DESPIA cards he decided to play. I really like the selection. Again, go watch his live deck profile for any explanations that you guys need, and hopefully you speak Spanish because it might be a little hard to understand, but it's definitely really informative for anyone that's able to understand it. Then he is playing 3 copies of Edge's Chain. This is literally the best discard outlet. I've been watching a lot of the deck profiles from the past weekend, and a lot of the DESPIA players have just been saying, you are playing the patchworks with this, and you are playing the polymerizations. This just is your best discard outlet. If you notice, he is playing extra cards that discard cards, so it's just very strong. Easily the best discard outlet, just to keep going and to keep your advantage. 1 copy of Snow. This card's just crazy. The fact that you can play this as a light target for branded fusion, and the fact that this is a disruption that can just stop so many decks is crazy. It's one of my favorite cards in the game, so glad to see it back. He's played triple copies of Fallen Valbaz. Again, he went hardcore with this deck. You definitely can't play 1. You have to play at least 2. He's maxing out, though. Wants maximum ability to just start with the deck, get the deck going, and yeah, that's why he's playing this. So as you notice with this deck, compared to the other DESPIA decks, is that there's just more starters, there's more cards, there's more names, so that you are able to just be more consistent with your plays. If you notice, he's also playing no hand traps in the main deck, so he had the room, whereas decks that do save the space for hand traps aren't able to do that, but he's just playing more blowout cards in the deck as well. He's also playing Incredible Ecclesia. He's playing one copy of the Spriggan's Kit. I found that really interesting. I can't even say if I've seen a lot of lists with this, but it does say if you have a fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz material on the field in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if it's normal or special summon, you can add to your hand one of your branded spells or traps that is banished or in your deck or graveyard. So that's pretty crazy. Then place one card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. That's just pretty cool, just added utility. And then he is playing one copy of the other hand trap, the Tri-Brigade Mercurier. This is a hand trap, basically just being able to negate a monster effect is crazy. But that's it for his monster count. He is playing triple copies, of course, branded fusion. That's just standard. He is maxing out, though, going all the way in with 3 copies of branded in red. He probably was prepared knowing that people were ready to counter this card. People have been trying to counter this card with Ghost Bell, with DD Crow by crowing the target. He just maxed out on it just to have, again, just maximum ability to get the deck going, and this card is pretty crazy if it does resolve. And he is playing branded loss, so this was like one of the big things that a lot of players weren't sure on whether they wanted to play this card or not. This card is literally Magical Meltdown. I talked about it when I talked about Chris's profile. This card is absolutely crazy. The fact that it just, your opponent just can't respond. Like, it's so crazy. It's literally Meltdown. And yeah, it just makes it so all your plays go through. I mean, what else could you ask for? And then, of course, 3 branded opening. That's just standard. He is playing the one called by the grave. Just card's insane in this format. He is playing the DESPIA Theater, just being able to, you know, access to more fusion summons, the Foolish Burial for utility. And then he is playing Forbidden Droplet. Like I said, discard outlets like Edge and Chains. Literally being able to use Droplet is insane. Just becomes like free, you know, basically like a free discard, and then you're able to just blanket the board and stuff. So yeah, this card was insane. I think this was one of the main reasons why he didn't play hand traps. This card can just take care of a board, and you do search a lot of the decks you have the added, you know, fodder to just send to the grave and then get the effects in grave as well. And then, of course, the already mentioned patchworks that go with the 2 polys. He's playing Gold Sark again, just maximum starters, and then triple super poly in the main deck. It's for the mirror match. It's for DPE decks. How many decks leave DPE and they also leave like another dark target like Verde or something, and you're literally just able to super poly, so it's crazy. But that's it for his main deck. It's 45 cards. Onto his side deck, he's playing 2 copies of Crow, Mirror Match, Sky Strikers, Eldritch. Just, there's always something to Crow. This card's not once per turn. It's pretty crazy. This is just really good in the Mirror Match. You Crow the branded red target, and you know, just other cards like I said to Crow. 2 copies of Nibiru. I'm glad he's still playing this card. He's still respecting this card. I saw some lists that did cut it. They weren't respecting it as much, but it's definitely a good card to still have in tandem if the opponent just play into it. You know, Sword Soul plays into it, so this is just a solid card to have, along with Sword Soul Hate and just overall token hate, token collector. Card just kind of defines the format because of the Brave Engine. Every deck that can, outside of like this deck, is playing the Brave Engine, so this card is just crazy against that, and of course against Sword Soul. There was a lot of representation of Sword Soul in the top cut, so definitely a good call to have this, and also good against Prank Kids, etc. 3 copies of Twin for the back row decks, 2 copies of D-Barrier for the Mirror Match, for Sword Soul, for, you know, whatever you need it for whatever random matchup you go up against where it's actually good, and then 3 copies of There Can Only Be One. They're all different types, so this card is absolutely bonkers in this deck. And lastly, just to his extra deck, we got 2 copies of All Beyond, got the 1 copy of Proskinion, we've got the 1 copy of Cordis, we've got the 2 copies of Chimera. This card is just absolutely insane. I played against Despia for the first time this past weekend myself, and yeah, this card is absolutely insane. 2 copies of Lubellion. You got the 2 copies of Masquerade. Summoning 2 of these, your opponent gets like maybe 6 or 7 plays, if that, and then they just burn out to where they just can't play anymore. This card is crazy. 2 copies of Mirror Jade. You get the 1 copy of Dragostapelia. That's your main super poly target in the mirror match, and you've got 1 copy of Sprin. What is it? The Iron Dash Dragon. I've never actually seen this card before, but it says special summon this card during your main phase. You can move this card you control to another of your main monster zones, and then you can destroy all other face-up cards in this card's column. Oh wow, this is like a column destroyer. And then during the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, it was set there, you're able to add to your hand or special summon 1 Spriggan's monster or Fallen of Albaz from your deck. That's crazy. Like, that's actually crazy. I haven't seen a list with this yet, but this card looks really, really cool. And then, of course, the 1 copy of Titanic Lad. That is it for the whole main side and extra. Now, you guys, Despia has won the YCS. It is the best deck of the format. It is seeing tons of representation. Amazing players like Andres are piloting it, and he's been on this deck forever. I don't need to give you the reasons why he won. He literally won because he is a champion. He knows how to pilot this deck inside and out. He knows the mirror match. He knows the meta. He's been the most consistent player so far since we got back to IRL Yu-Gi-Oh! And even before that, he was super consistent. Will continue to be super consistent. So those are my reasons. Don't really need to waste time. It's crazy. Shout out again. 5 rings, 5 wins. And yeah, it's just going to keep going. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to smash that like button. Let me know your thoughts on branded branded DESPIA in this crazy format. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.